everyone, thank you for watching today's video. Today I'm going to teach you how to read off of a chord chart. Now, for those of you who play piano or guitar, you're probably used to reading chord charts, and it makes sense because those instruments play chords. But for those of us who have more melodic instruments, we have to improvise. So that's basically what I'm going to be showing you today, is how to improvise off of a chord chart. Let me give you a brief overview of just the basic theory of chords. You have the root of the chord, the note that everything is built on, and then a third up from that, you have your third, and this defines whether the chord is major or minor. And then a fifth up from the root, that completes your triad. Now, of course, you can add seconds, ninths, sevenths, all of that, but that's going to get a little bit too complicated for this video, so I'm just going to stick with your basic triad. So when you see a chord on a chord chart, and let's say it's just a G, that just means you're going to be playing a G major chord. So G is your root, and then a third up from that is going to be B natural, and a third up from that, so a fifth away from the root, that's just going to be D. So G, third up from that, B, third up from that is D. See how it outlines a chord. We would call that an arpeggio. It is harder to play full chords on these kinds of instruments, but you can do it. You just have to invert those chords. So it's not always going to be root, third, fifth in that particular order. It could be fifth, third, root. It could be third, root, fifth. So this chord is the exact same chord as this. And as you can see, I have to break the chord, or I can roll it. If I wanted to play, let's say, D minor. So D minor, and it says, it has a D and the little M beside it. M indicates minor if it's not capitalized. Capitalized M would mean major. So if it says D minor, then D is your root. A third up from that, again, third is what delineates it from a minor from a major. So if it is F natural, that's going to be a minor triad. If it's F sharp, that's what turns it into a major chord. So if I was to play D, F, A, that's minor. If I was to play F sharp, that's major. This one is a little bit harder to play as a full chord. It's harder than the G major because G major had two open strings, but D major has, you lay your finger across like this and third finger. So I'm showing you those just in case you want to play a full chord. What I really want to teach you, though, is how to improvise within these chord boundaries. So you can play all of these notes. It's a little bit tricky, but it's even prettier if you can make it more melodic because it fits what the instrument was built to do. That works better whenever you're playing with a group. So if you have a keyboardist or a guitarist playing with you, you're much more free to do this. In a lot of my covers, you'll see me playing chords on my instrument, but that's because I don't have anything else to use in order to accompany myself while I'm singing. So I'm singing and I have to play the chords on something, so I use my cello. If you have someone to play along with, what you can do is to stay within these chordal boundaries. If the chord is G, you can go all over the place. And then if it changes to B minor. So as you can see, I'm kind of mixing scales and arpeggios together to make a really pretty line. So I was going to choose Truce by 21 Pilots as an example song to show you. What I did in my video, I played the chords and I sang along with it, but if you, hopefully assuming that you have someone to play with, which I don't, but if you do, they're going to be handling the chords and you're going to be looking at the chord chart and you want to fit your melody inside of their chords. The first chord in my arrangement, don't know if it's the same as the original, I can't remember, but in my arrangement, it's G major. So the piano or the guitar is going to be plucking out a G major chord. Now what you can do inside of that is kind of play around by mixing an arpeggio with a scale. So just then, I went from a G major to a B major to a C major back to a G major because I stayed within these arpeggios. So I started out by playing a G major arpeggio and just adding something on top. So here's your root, third above that, finger 3 on the G string, and then open D, and then G again. Basic arpeggio. And then I'm gonna go back down the B major arpeggio. So you can just play that chord backwards, but just make sure that you hit the root, the third. You don't have to play the fifth. You can add in sevenths, you can add in seconds, ninths, all of that. And then here, we're back to C major. And I just played a C major arpeggio. So C, third up from there. Here's the fifth, and then C again. So C, E, G, C. And I'm back to G major, because here's G, and then I can outline that chord again. So basically, you're doing what a chordal instrument is doing. You're just kind of sprinkling it out over time. You're stretching it out. You're making an arpeggio out of it instead of just one strummed chord. Instead of doing that, you're going to make it even prettier. And honestly, your part is much more exciting than what the guitar gets to play. Well, I'm not a guitarist, so I can't really say for sure. And of course, pianists and guitarists can always throw in extra notes and make it improvisational. But your job is to basically play the melody, sort of, but embellish on it. You can embellish on the chords, you can embellish on the melody, you can play the harmony, you can do so many fun things with this. That A doesn't have to be in there. I could play it like that, or I can add in the A and make it more interesting. So it really just comes down to, what letter do you see on the page? That's your root. Add in scale elements along with your arpeggio, and think of the melody in your head, and you can play off of that. You can do harmony. Just have fun with it. That's the main thing. Just have fun with it. Hopefully today's tutorial helped. Hope it was clear enough. If you have any additional questions, let me know in the comment section below. As always, love what you do, practice well, share it with others, and thank you for watching.